Hello and welcome to LaRosa Reads. I'm Denise LaRosa, and today I'm going to do a fun little spin, quite literally, on the Goodreads Choice Awards nominees. So I figured while I'm waiting for my daughter to get out of musical rehearsal late at night, that I would join you guys. I would be in conversation with you all about this Goodreads Choice Awards round one. Everybody and their mama is doing all the things as far as video content for BookTube around the Goodreads Choice. I thought I would do something other than just share the nominees. I figured I would do something fun with it. And I looked at my TBR as I was perusing the Goodreads Choice and noticed that there are a lot of, well, I don't want to say a lot, but there's some books that are on my TBR that landed in the nominees list. So I figured I would just take a particular specific look at those books and then do a little spin to figure out which books I should prioritize in my TBR. Yay. So here we are. This is just purely for fun for me. I will end up agreeing and disagreeing with some of the outcomes, but let's have fun and take a look at the books that are in the opening round. I'm going to start with fiction and share with you which books in the fiction category are on my TBR. So here are readers' favorite fiction opening round nominees. If you're watching this video, I am assuming you are already familiar with these books. Out of this collection, I have only read one, which is All Fours by Miranda July. I don't think that it would be my choice, even for a finalist, but I do have a handful of books on this list that have been on my TBR. So let's take a look at those books on my trusty list. So we've got Margot's Got Money Troubles. The cover sent me, totally sent me. If we look here, we see a fun cover that for me really resonates. And the synopses of these books is worth lifting up. So here we have a bold, laugh out loud, funny, and heartwarming story about one young woman's attempt to navigate adulthood, new motherhood, and her meager bank account in our increasingly online world. I mean, hello. I could definitely connect with that book. We also have colored television. I have not read any books from Danzy Senna, but I feel like I need to. Maybe I'll start with color television. Who knows? What I do know is the synopsis is about a character named Jane. She has high hopes for her life and hoping that it will turn around. And after years of living precariously, she, her painter husband Lenny, and their two kids have landed a stint as house sitters in a friend's luxurious home in the hills above Los Angeles, a gig that coincides magically with her sabbatical. And if she can just finish her latest novel, she'll be okay and she'll have tenure and some semblance of stability and success within her grasp. So we're talking about someone who's in academia. I'm in academia. I'm intrigued. Next, we have I Hope This Finds You Well. Where the heck? Where did it go? There it is. And it's a wildly funny and heartwarming office comedy. Okay, I don't work in an office, but I can appreciate office comedies. And there's an admin worker who accidentally gains access to her colleagues' private emails and DMs and decides to use this intel to save her job. A Laugh Till You Cry debut novel you'll be eager to share with your entire list of contacts. Okay, that sounds like a fun time. I can see why I had this on my TBR. Do you ever have times where you're like, why is this even on my TBR? I don't even remember the synopsis. That's me oftentimes. And then we have good material. I believe Russell from Ink and Paper blog inspired me to add this to my TBR. Andy loves Jen. Jen loved Andy. And he can't work out why she stopped. Now he is without a home, waiting for his stand up career to take off, and wondering why everyone else around him seems to have grown up while he wasn't looking. Okay, so he's set adrift after heartbreak. He's clinging to the idea of solving a puzzle in his ruined relationship. Interesting. And finally, the last book that's on my TBR from this lovely list of nominees for the fiction category is Sandwich. For the past 2 decades, Rocky has looked forward to her family's yearly escape to Cape Cod. Their humble beach town rental has been the site of sweet memories, sunny days, great meals, and messes of all kinds. This year's vacation with Rocky, sandwiched between her half-grown kids and fully aging parents, okay, promises to be just as delightful as summers past, except perhaps for Rocky's hormonal bouts of rage and melancholy. Hello, menopause. There have been a lot of books about menopause, I feel, which is interesting because it seems to be a particular generation that's tussling with that phase of life. And I am in my 40s, but I feel like all fours was enough, like of the menopause conversation for me for a while in terms of reading about it. So let's hop over to the wheel. Okay, let's see what book the universe wants me to read from this category. Because you guys, there's no way that I can read all of the books that are on my TBR in all of the categories. I just don't have that time. I'm not a fast reader. So if I can read one book from each category, adding that to my TBR, prioritizing one book from each category, I think that's a win. Okay, let's do this. Oh. That was the one I didn't want. I didn't want to read about a dude's midlife crises. Y'all. I used to be a historical fiction girly, and I have really fallen off that train. I don't know why, because there have been some really solid historical fiction books published lately. But here we have the nominees for the opening round. I have not read a single one of them, and only one book here is on my TBR, and it is James. So James will be by default the book that I read from the historical fiction category. And next we have mystery and thriller, which has become a favorite genre of mine as of lately. And one in particular I'm nervous about because I regret having it on my TBR, and that's All the Colors of the Dark. I know it's receiving so much acclaim, rightfully so, I'm sure, but it's a chunker. It's 1975. It's a time for change in America. The Vietnam War is ending. Muhammad Ali is fighting Joe Frazier. And in a small town of Montclair, Missouri, girls are disappearing. Ooh. When the daughter of a wealthy family is targeted, the most likely hero emerges, Hatch, a local boy with one eye who saves the girl and in doing so leaves heartache in his wake. I mean, it sounds amazing. I just don't know if I have the bandwidth to read a chunker. And if this ends up being the book that lands on my TBR, I'm not going to have time to read the other books. I've been a slow reader lately. Oh, well. Okay, next we have Middle of the Night. Okay, a jaw-dropping thriller. I have not read any books by Riley Sager, but yet those books are just filling up my TBR. I don't know what prevents me from actually reading them. But the worst thing to ever happen on Hemlock Circle occurred in Ethan Marsh's backyard. One July night, 10-year-old Ethan and his best friend and neighbor Billy fell asleep in a tent set up on a manicured lawn in a quiet, quaint New Jersey cul-de-sac. In the morning, Ethan woke up alone. During the night, someone had sliced the tent open with a knife and taken Billy. He was never seen again. I feel like, was it Kayla from Books and Lala, Gabby from Gabby Reads, or both who read this book for their book clubs, and I feel like people weren't into it. Home is where the bodies are. The cover is what lured me. We've got a VHS tape. I believe there was a 80s vibe to it, if I'm not mistaken. So after their mother passes, three estranged siblings reunite to sort out her estate. Beth, the oldest, never left home. She stayed with her mom, caring for her until the very end. Nicole, the middle child, has been kept at arm's length due to her own ongoing battle with a serious drug addiction. Michael, the youngest, lives out of state and hasn't been back to their small Wisconsin town since their father ran out on them 7 years before. And while going through their parents' belongings, the siblings stumble upon a collection of home videos and decide to revisit those happier memories. However, the nostalgia is cut short. Ooh, when one of the VHS tapes reveals a night back in 1999, my high school graduation year, that none of them have any recollection of. And on the screen, their father appears covered in blood. Oh, this sounds so good. What follows is a dead body and a pact between their parents to get rid of it before the video abruptly ends. Oh my gosh, universe, please have that be the book that is selected for me. And then what else do I have? Two more. The God of the Woods, everybody's talking about it. It's another chunker. And finally, the last book in this category that's on my TBR, which I'm surprised I did have How to Solve Your Own Murder, but I don't know, I must have taken it off, is Richard Osman's We Solve Murders. The Thursday Murder Club was a book that I purchased and I thought I was going to end up loving the series. I DNF'd it. It didn't do it for me. Here we have a character who's enjoying retired life. He does the odd bit of investigation work, but he prefers his familiar habits and routines. And then Amy Willer thinks adrenaline is good for the soul. As a private security officer, she doesn't stay away, or she doesn't stay still long enough for habits or routines. So she's a busybody. She's currently on a remote island, keeping world famous author alive. And then a dead body, a bag of money, and a killer with their sights on Amy have been sending an SOS to the only person she trusts. A breakneck, a breakneck, a breakneck race around the world begins, but can Amy and Steve stay one step ahead of a lethal enemy? Okay. Let's just do this. Let's see what happens. All right, let's go. Are you flipping kidding me? Okay, let's go to romance. So this was the category that I've read the most books from, interestingly enough. I read A Love Song for Ricky Wilde earlier this year. I also read How to End a Love Story. I had mixed feelings about that one. Oh, is that it? I thought I'd read another one. Okay, whatevs. So I have four books here in this category that landed on my TBR. This Could Be Us. I read Before I Let Go, which is the first book in the Skyland series by Kennedy Ryan. Was obsessed. Is probably arguably my all-time favorite romance novel. And here we have Soledad's story with This Could Be Us. The love after, or the love of my afterlife. This was a cover attraction for me. I don't even know what this book is about. If she wasn't dead already, Delphi would be dying of embarrassment. Not only did she just die by choking on a microwavable burger, she's also standing in her sparkle and shine nightie in front of the hottest man she's ever seen, and he's smiling at her. As they start to chat, everything else becomes background noise. That is until someone comes running through a door yelling something about a huge mistake and sends the dreamy stranger back down to earth. This is a little all over the place. I'm done reading the synopsis. I don't know what's going on. Lies and Weddings. I have yet to read Crazy Rich Asians, and this is the author responsible for that masterpiece. A forbidden affair erupts dramatically amid a decadent Hawaiian wedding in this hilarious, sophisticated, and thrillingly plotted story of love, money, murder, sex, and the lies we tell about them all. Okay, sounds entertaining. Mm. Lives and Weddings. So I don't read romantasy. I don't read fantasy. I don't read science fiction. Debut novel. Let's see what happens here. So I read How to End a Love Story, and the only book that I have on my TBR in this category is Fire Exits by Morgan Talty. Audiobook category is interesting. I'm happy to see it. I'm here for it. I definitely have on my TBR From Here to the Great Unknown. I will definitely plan on listening to that. I don't have any other books in this category that I desire to listen to via audiobook. So let's just say I'm going with that. I don't read young adult fantasy. I do read young adult fiction. However, I'm not in the mood for any of these books that landed in the nominees list. So we're just going to keep it moving. Nonfiction, interestingly enough, I had once in a millennial on my TBR. I took it off because I was just not hearing good things about it. And I've read The Message, loved, loved, loved it. 5-star read for me. And oh, yes, I also read The Anxious Generation. Super Communicators is on my TBR. And we have here an interesting take. Come inside a jury room as one juror leads a starkly divided room to consensus. Join a young CIA officer as he recruits a reluctant foreign agent, and sit with an accomplished surgeon as he tries and fails to convince yet another cancer patient to opt for the less risky course of treatment. Oh my goodness. So this book blends deep research and trademark storytelling from the author to show how we can all learn to identify and leverage the hidden layers that lurk beneath every conversation. I'm intrigued. I'm glad I had that on my TBR. Finally, for memoir, we're not going to do history or biography, but I do have 2 books on my TBR in this category. And as I'm perusing, there are no books in this category that I have read yet, but the 2 books on my TBR are Wanted, Toddler's Personal Assistant. When Stephanie moves to New York City after college to pursue a career in writing, she quickly learns that her entry-level salary won't cover the high cost of living, never mind her crushing student loan debt. But there is one in-demand job that pays more than enough to allow Stephanie to stay in the city, and it's nannying for the 1%. I am so curious about what that experience was like. And then finally, we have the amazing, profound, prolific author, Hanif Ardurkib, with There's Always This Year on Basketball and Ascension. I read The Devil in America by Hanif and fell in love with his unique perspective and approach to articulating that perspective. And so here we have this gifted poet and one of our culture's most insightful critics. And he is talking about growing up in Columbus in the 1990s, witnessing the golden era of basketball, much like myself, go Chicago Bulls, and one in which legends like LeBron were forged and countless others weren't. His lifelong love of the game leads him into a lyrical, historical, and emotionally rich exploration of what it means to make it, who we think deserves success, and the tensions between excellence and expectation, and the very notion of role models. Oh, my lordy, I need this book in my life. Let's see what happens. Hmm. Okay. What books landed in the nominees for round one with the Goodreads Choice Awards that are also on your TBR? I want to know. Let me know. And until next time, happy reading. And hopefully, this musical rehearsal will be over soon. Bye.